Hi, this is Tom Blake again. I am the listing specialist on the Homes Just For You team with RE/MAX Liberty, and I am here with...
I'm Brianna Kelly. I'm the VP and branch manager of Total Mortgage at the Leominster office.
Great, and we are here to give you a real-time real estate market update. And today we are going to start, but we're going to do a few things today. We're going to start by talking about the real-time rate environment. Then we're going to talk about the real-time real estate market in the central Massachusetts area, and specifically we're going to talk about AIR today. We're going to take an example from AIR, a particular house, and then we're going to talk about what it would take to purchase that house and what it truly looks like. So with that, let's start with an update on the real-time rate market.
Wish I had better news. The rates, they're still in the mid sevens, and it definitely creates a different purchase market for a lot of people, because those rates being in the sevens and the purchase prices being where they are limit some people's availability to be able to purchase. So we're having a lot of conversations about payments like we have in the past regarding the rates. There's some indication that they feel like they might be kind of leveling out some at this point. The Fed met this week. They did not raise the Fed rate. However, some of their comments made people a little skittish about what they think they're going to be doing in the future.
Oh boy.
So it's always something to be kind of aware of. But right now, at a 30-year fixed rate, probably looking at the mid sevens, depending on your credit score. There are some programs that, of course, if you qualified, depending on your income, first-time home buyer, you might be a little bit lower. But right now we're looking at, that's the best way to look at the rates, is mid sevens.
So and looking forward, based on what you saw for some reports out of the Fed and their, the environment's reaction to it, what do you think is going to happen coming up? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, and I think we've had this conversation. Like, it feels like a little bit up is down, down is up. So some of their comments that I've been having, you would have thought would have had an inverse reaction. Instead, it did move the rate. So even though the Fed didn't say anything that was necessarily negative in their meeting, some of the reaction was negative. I think maybe they were expecting some more positive information to come out. And then the rates have actually recovered as of this morning. So it's been a couple of days. A lot of times the information that gets pulled out is then re-verified, I'd like to say. Okay. But some indication is that they think we might not have another Fed hike for maybe a 0.25% in the rate. Again, I know that that's short-term lending technically, but it doesn't indirectly affect mortgage rates. So although next year's an election year, they keep thinking that the rates may kind of settle down, come down a little bit, but
yeah, that would be an interesting political move for somebody, right? To rush in there and rescue the American public.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
I mean, Let's hope
they do.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it.
Do.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so the rate environment remains challenging. Correct. So the real estate market in central Massachusetts is in about the same spot too. So we've talked about people having concerns of potentially seeing a market crash. I don't personally see that coming anytime soon. Currently in real time, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of one particular thing here, which I should have done before this. There are 4,710 homes available for sale in Massachusetts. Wow. Really, so that's actually 20% up from the last time we talked almost. Yeah. So we were talking about 4,000 roughly the last time, and there's 700 more homes available for sale. But they're certainly going on and off the market relatively quickly depending upon condition, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. We are going to look specifically, because it's easier to look at a microcosm than look at the whole picture, at AIR. If you wanted to buy a house in AIR, Massachusetts right now, you have 5 to choose from. 5 houses.
Big selection.
It's a really huge selection, right? So clearly the inventory level remains a problem, which is continuing to support the principal prices of houses. The principals are still high. They're not retracting.
Nope.
They continue to ascend a little at a time. Of those houses in AIR, Massachusetts right now, we have 57 Wright Road, which is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house that is almost 1,400 square feet on a half an acre for $479,000. That's $480,000 for a 3-bedroom, smallish 3-bedroom house. 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath for 1,400 square feet, brand new on the market for $539,000. The next one down is a 2,500 square foot house built in 1922 with 4 bedrooms and 1.5 baths for $550,000. I hope you're noticing a theme here. So if you want an entry-level home in Air, you're looking somewhere between $450,000 and $550,000.
Right.
And then it kind of goes up from the other two are substantially larger homes with different amenities and bigger acreages and such. Those are $700,000 and $800,000. One thing that we were talking about before we got on camera together is we are seeing price corrections in higher priced houses.
Yes.
So the homes that are, depending upon where you are, $600,000 and $900,000, those are starting to see a longer market time.
Correct.
And those are starting to see some price corrections. But as far as the average home that's in an entry level, which is
That 450 to 550 again.
450 to 500. Those are going off relatively quickly,
Yes.
providing good condition, and that's another conversation. So, Air itself has another thing that we talk about on a regular basis is what's called the absorption rate. So you can ignore all that other stuff and the sensationalism regarding how good your market is or isn't, and whether it's a seller market or a buyer market, because it all comes down to what's called the absorption rate. And to reiterate one more time, that is how many houses you have, how many houses are selling per month, and how long would it take to run out of that inventory. So if you got 100 homes for sale, which clearly isn't the case here, if we had 100 homes for sale and they were selling at 20 homes per month, you have 5 months of inventory or an absorption rate of 5. Currently in Air, Massachusetts, we have an absorption rate of 0.98, which is up 30% from the last time we looked at it.
so crazy to me.
So it was 0.7 1 month ago. There's not a lot of opportunity for sale. Also in Air right now, whoever is bringing these houses to market is asking about the right price to list to price ratio. So it's 106%. So what that means is list to sale price is that they're asking 480, they're getting roughly 480 for those homes, right? So, or they're asking 500, they're getting 500. So, the pricing is correct for the market, the Air market at the moment. So, that's a general market update for Central Mass regarding what it's going to take interest rate wise and what you're looking at for prices. So what we like to do at this point is take a live example and look at what it would actually take to purchase said house.
Yes.
An interesting thing to note is just because only 5 are on the market, there can be quite a few more under agreement and quite a few more that have sold recently. So just to give you one more snippet here, I'm going to clear out a particular thing. I want to put contingent and under agreement here. So at the moment, well, actually, that's not that much. I take that back. So there's only 6 houses that are under agreement. So that means only 6 houses came to market within the last 4 to 6 weeks or something like that, and they are currently going to market. So let's see what's sold in the last 3 months here in Air. So in the last 3 months, we've had 14 houses sell in Air, which is okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's so about 5 a month,
Which is
what's under agreement and what's on the market.
exactly.
Air is clearly a challenging place to purchase a home. Not quite like Leominster. We were looking at in the 20s per month.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like
Yeah.
for Leominster, with a lot more offerings. I'm going to be selfish on this one. We actually had a listing in Air, which is why it's interesting to me at the moment, or specifically interesting. And we offered 1 Gardner Lane for $469,900, i.e. $470. So because of my fiduciary responsibility to my client, I cannot reveal what it is under agreement for, nor would I do that with your house.
Right.
Because that's private information, private financial information. But let's look at the statistics. So if it's selling for 100.6%, Let's say that's a percent. Let's say it went under agreement for 475.
Right.
All right. And we did better than that, by the way. But 475 is what we're going to look at. So take it away, Bree. At 475 so this is 1 Gardner Lane. It is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom raised ranch. So on public record, it's 2-bedroom, 1 bath, but it actually has a living area because you got below grade of about 1,300 square feet, and you have the opportunity for another bedroom, although I can't call it that, and that's another conversation too. So roughly a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house.
Right.
In really great condition. This is in really great condition
Very helpful.
for 475.
Right.
So tell me what it would take to buy that house.
Okay, so you're a first-time home buyer. Again, goes up to 475. So now you're looking at 3% down, which is $14,250, and then you have closing costs and prepaids, which could be from anywhere to $10,000 to $12,000, depending on taxes and insurance and things like that. Overall, with taxes, insurance, and PMI, and then principal and interest, you're looking at of a payment just under $4,000. So monthly budget-wise, starter home in Air right now, you're probably looking at around a $4,000 a month payment with the minimum 3% down. There's some advantages. It's in Middlesex County, so it does give you some of the programs are income-based, and Middlesex has a higher income threshold for some of these programs, so you might see some benefit to that. But ultimately, you're probably going to be looking around $4,000 for this house.
Okay, yeah, and that's again at a normal 3% down, 90% loan to value.
97%.
97. Oh, geez, yeah. That one, what she said.
97%. 3% down. 3% down. Yep.
What are some practical ways that you could make that, from your perspective, more affordable? Like, so, or is there ways that you could prepare to make that better? Avoid PMI. What could you do to make your life better?
Yeah, so some of the things that I've been having people look at is maybe some of their monthly obligations that they've been paying, whether it be car loans or other monthly debts that they could possibly try to eliminate, pay down, things like that. The other thing you could look at doing is obviously save more money to have a larger down payment. The other thing is to prepare, and I like to tell people that are house searching, pretend like you have a $4,000 a month mortgage payment right now wherever you're living.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
So if you're only paying $2,000 a month in rent right now, throw an extra $2,000 in that savings account. A, it helps you save a little bit more money.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
But B, it also tells you whether or not you can make that payment affordable.
That's really good advice.
Absolutely. But the biggest thing is you really, and I keep saying this, sit down, look at your budget, really figure out where you want to be. Because if you're okay eliminating going out to eat a couple times a month, and that puts a little bit of extra money in your pocket, and you're willing to make that adjustment, that's something to really consider. But if you don't want to, then maybe you don't want to be looking at a house that's $4,000 a month. Or you wait to buy, or you save more money. So there's a lot of other options that you could look at, but being prepared is the most important thing.
I really, really like that idea. I mean, to take a good hard look and like a trial run, a dry run as to whether this is something that you feel is comfortable for you,
Right.
And it's also important to remember that you're investing in yourself too. If you invest in real estate, it's going to ideally it's going to continue to raise in value. I mean, there are fluctuations in the market, but it is the number one way for people, the average person, to build wealth is through buying their home. It's worth the sacrifice, but not if you're going to be house poor. We've talked about that. We don't want to be house poor.
Exactly.
And I do think it's important to reiterate, this is what it looks like to buy in around the 495 area right now. If you're thinking about buying in the 495 area, a starter home is $450,000 to $500,000, and we're not talking about a palace here. We're talking about
a starter home.
A ranch.
Right. Exactly.
3-bedroom, 1-bath, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. $1,500, $2,000 to the one that was $800,000 was only 2,200 square feet. If I was looking at it.
Yep, 23.
Yeah, so a brand new house. It's a gorgeous house. Don't get me wrong. So a brand new house in Air with 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. At 2,200 square feet, built in 2023, is $825,000, and it is under contract. And the other one that was on there for was $815.
Yeah.
So just to give you some perspective. So I think that's a really great market update for now. And what do you know? It puts us right at that 15-minute mark. We're getting good at this.
Yeah.
So the next thing, what we would also like to do is talk a little bit about a particular specialty item. And in this case, we're going to talk about septic systems, right?
So much fun.
No. So you might be from out of state watching this and may have never heard Title V. Do you know a little bit about Title V?
I do.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about Title V in Massachusetts from your perspective.
So Title V is if you have a septic system. Massachusetts has pretty strict rules regarding when the septic needs to be inspected to make sure it's meeting certain codes. So a lot of the systems, especially the further west you go in the state, you see a lot of septic systems. And a lot of these systems have been installed quite a while ago, and the codes, of course, keep adjusting.
Yeah.
Like a lot of things. So when you start having an older system, there's a chance of it malfunctioning or having issues. Now, again, for people that don't, a septic system is very specific to being able to carry the waste out of your house.
Yep.
Not something that you want to mess around with. So
you can have a really big, it could be a really blank problem, and it rhymes with bitty. Problem.
Yeah.
If you don't take care of your septic system,
it's
a big deal. It's a big deal, right?
It is.
So, from my perspective, Title V is incredibly important in order to convey the home. So,
required.
It's required, pretty much. So, if you're going to sell your home in Massachusetts, within 2 years of the sale of the home, you need to have a passing Title V, which means you have to have a licensed contractor come out who can perform this. And depending upon the town you're in, and this is another fun conversation, depending upon the town you're in, the town can have its own bylaws regarding septic systems, and you need to comply to those. And I've had a couple of personal bouts with this over the summer, so that's why why I brought this up when we were talking about it with Bree. If you want to sell your home and you don't have a passing Title V, and I list it for you, you've just raised a $30,000 to $60,000 question mark over the sale of your home.
Right.
And from her perspective, you may not be able to get it financed.
Correct.
Right? So you want a passing Title V. You want to know that your septic system is going to be functioning, and that you can convey your property with little to no problem, and the person who is buying it is going to be able to finance their transaction so they can pay you the money that they've promised you to pay, which can be a real challenge. So what happened to me this year is we had this one home that was a fixer-upper. We knew it was a failed Title V. But we hadn't installed a new septic system. So we needed to negotiate with the buyer, and we put a plan in place. So ideally, we could convey understanding what the plan was for the fix.
Yeah.
But it took a while. We got into the transaction. We didn't have an engineering plan. We weren't exactly sure how much it was going to cost to fix it. And then we ran into problems with the town. The Board of Health was on vacation when they had the first meeting, and we had to wait till the next meeting. And so what was supposed to be a 6-week transaction turned into a 3-month transaction while we, and let's talk about rate lock for a second, right?
Exactly.
So how does rate lock affect something like that?
Right. So say that it's something that you need to have the septic installed before you close. So, typical rate lock, 30, 45 days, depending on if that's the expectation for the rate lock. And then you have the Title V done later, and then find out you fail, and then you need to extend the closing. As a seller, there's a good chance that they're going to ask you to pick up that cost.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not their fault that the septic wasn't completed in time, and that they have to wait to purchase that property.
Yep.
So it's definitely something to kind of keep in mind as you're listing the house, because you want to make sure that information is already out there. Because then also as a lender, there are some programs that the seller doesn't have the monies to have the septic replaced. Then we can look at, maybe we can do it as a rehab loan. The buyer can. Or on the flip side of it, like on some of our products, maybe we can do a holdback, meaning we can let you close, have the money held back in an escrow account, and have the septic replaced after you close. Now, again, it's all case by case, but being prepared, like we know that's a lot of things that we've been saying during our videos, that just leaves your options open and gives you a better understanding of where you're gonna end up. But rate lock costs you money,
So Bree says an awful lot in a short period of time. She really does. And so I want to point out what she just said about her company's ability to actually do come up with a financing company that'll do a holdback. Not every financing company will do that, right? So you can actually, if you don't have a plan in place, you could end up with a transaction that's going to fail because they won't do a holdback, right? So, and then you got to go looking for the buyer has to go looking for another form of financing, or you come back on market looking for another buyer who can actually do that.
Right.
So I'm going to back up just one moment for a second, and I'm going to try to provide a solution here. So, one, you need to do a Title V if you have a septic system in Massachusetts, and you want to have that way ahead of the time that you list your house. You don't want it to be a question mark as you're going into the transaction. Not at all. I just had another one who decided to hold off on doing the Title V. I did all the media. I was all ready to go. We were set to pull the trigger. She had somebody come out 3 days before we were going to go live with the property, and we found out she doesn't have a septic system. She has a cesspool.
Oh, okay.
That's a big deal, actually, depending upon where you are. Right. That could be an automatic fit, right? If it isn't managed properly.
Correct.
So what we needed to do was we needed to get, because it was the contract. So you also want to have good septic contractors,
Absolutely.
right? So we had some fuzzy information on that, and we weren't really sure. So we went and got someone we trusted and we knew and who would manage the problems before, who was a really great licensed contractor in the area.
Excellent.
And we put together a plan to get the Title V done appropriately before we went to market, because let's say we didn't do that first. It's a beautiful house. It's in great condition. We get under contract real fast, and we find out suddenly, and for good money, and we find out suddenly Title V doesn't pass. Well, now all of a sudden this buyer's incredibly disrupted. So
Correct.
we're renegotiating for a very different price at that point, a very different price, and or that buyer kicks out and we have to go back on market, which when you go back on market, damages the property. It really does. It damages the value of the property, because if I said to you, why did it come back on market? The first thing that goes through your mind is,
Well,
what's wrong with it?
Yeah, what's wrong with it?
What's wrong with it?
Yeah.
Right?
Like what happened?
What happened? What's wrong with it?
Yeah.
And that's what happens with every buyer. So the next person who comes in is definitely going to offer at or less because they think there's something wrong with it. So we put a plan in place so that we were going to get the Title V inspector out. Well, the Title V inspector, the septic inspector, let me know that in the town of Princeton, you have to pull a permit from the town. And then the town of Princeton wants a licensed engineer to observe the Title V inspector while doing it, and they want a member of the Board of Health to come out and observe the engineer observing the Title V inspector doing the Title V.
It's a little bit of a party.
It's a little bit of a party. It's an expensive party.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It is. It's an expensive party. So, but imagine if that had happened in the transaction, right? So, and imagine if it had failed, which it may, and now in order to convey, we need to have an engineering plan in place. Then we need to have an installation plan in place. Then we have to know how much it's going to cost. We have to get multiple estimates, and then we've got to go see somebody like Bree to see if somebody can finance it.
Right. Yep. And you're still dealing with the Board of Health to be able to approve town meetings.
Yep.
And if you're talking towns, that meet once a month.
Once a month.
So now you're looking at an issue where you might have to wait until the next cycle if you don't get all of your information in, because if you don't have a septic design and everything else, now you're looking at delays.
Yes. These are real problems that we have all the time, you know,
It is.
that go into, that turn into nightmares for clients. Like, we know how to manage these things. We understand them. We do the best that we can to warn our clients about issues like that coming up, which is why we're doing this video right now. But it's important to execute on these things. It's in your best interest to make sure that you have a clear plan for
Absolutely.
Title V in mind. Work with your realtor, work with your mortgage agent, mortgage broker. Sorry, I guess that was a terrible way of saying that.
Mortgage originator.
Mortgage originator.
banker,
Thank you. That sounds way better
Yeah.
than
Your
what I
mortgage
just said.
person. That's some
sorry about
political
that.
correctness into it.
Yes,
It's fine.
yes, sorry about that.
Okay, fine.
So make sure you're working with your mortgage originator to understand what you're up against when you are looking at conveying your home if you are on private septic.
Right.
And I think that would be a really good place to wrap it up today. Do you have anything else that you wanted to? So, are there particular programs, I guess I should ask this, are there particular programs to focus on if you are buying a home with Title V that would be better?
It depends. Every situation's a little bit different. I mean, again, if there's the availability to do some type of holdback, or if you're looking to purchase a property, they don't want to fix it for whatever reason, there's rehab loans, like we had talked about. But I will also say that for the seller, they do have, Mass Housing has a septic program that allows the septic to be replaced. It's a discounted program, we'll call it. So 0%, I believe, is the program
Oh, no
rate.
kidding. Oh, that's important to know.
So again, that's the type of information if you're looking for, Tom would be able to get that information from myself or, whoever is, and again, it might be their local bank or credit union that they're working with as well, but they do have septic loans. But because a lot of
Okay.
these people, I feel like that are selling houses right now don't necessarily have the cash up front.
So you learn something new every day, and I didn't know that. So we're going to actually talk about that off camera.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and sometimes there's septic contractors that will do the septic repair and expect to be paid from the proceeds of the sale.
Okay.
That's case by case as well.
Yeah, I've
But
had
I've
trouble
seen a
finding-
few.
Yeah.
I have a few. Yeah.
Okay.
But again, I think it's specific to that particular person's, situation. So if you're in a good equity position,
Yeah, absolutely.
if you're close to not being in a good equity position, which is very unlikely in this particular market, but possible.
Yeah, and that's where we come in. We can help you to
That's right.
find out what that is in your home. But
Yeah.
well, thank you for listening, and we will see you again next month with another market update.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye now.